The stars bent slightly as the scavenger vessel Orcs slipped out of FTL, decelerating with a groan of magnetic brakes. Captain Serac stood at the forward viewport, 4 black eyes fixed on the swirling gray-blue orb below. "Earth," he said, almost reverently. "The myth, the mistake." Behind him, the bridge crew of mixed species murmured in awe. They'd seen countless worlds. But Earth had a Watane old gravity that seemed to drag at the soul. It was the origin of humans. The cradle of a species that had once burst like wildfire across the stars, and then vanished 3 centuries ago in silence. A glowing glyph pulsed in the corner of the holomap. Classified category Delta Containment Zone access restricted by order of Galactic Accord. 7.3.1.7 Serac dismissed it with a flick of his claws. Dead world, dead laws. Let's strip her bones. The Orcs descended through Earth's upper atmosphere. Dust storms raged across crumbled megacities. Rusted orbital stations drifted like corpses in low orbit, and oceans gleamed with eerie stillness. Once a jewel of civilization, now a ghost. Drones launched. Scanners pierced the soil, searching for buried data cores, fusion matrices, or anything sellable to the black markets of Cytherin Prime, picking up ancient infrastructure signatures. Chirped Lieutenant Drax. Something massive underground. But no heat, no M activity. It's inert. Serac nodded, just as the old reports claimed. What those reports didn't mention nor, perhaps, had chosen to forget, was that Earth had once been the final battlefield in humanity's last, greatest war. No one knew what happened in the end. Only that one day, Earth went silent. No broadcasts, no trade, no cries for help. Just a dead blue dot. The aliens never returned, until now. A scavenger team touched down near the ruins of what once had been New Geneva. Great towers leaned like broken teeth, and statues of forgotten heroes were cracked and overgrown. But beneath the surface, they found what looked like a hardened bunker. This wasn't a shelter. Drax murmured, brushing off a symbol carved in metal. It was an eye burning with flame and a human phrase etched beneath sovereign watches. They forced the doors open. Inside, dust lay thick like snow, but in the dark, old red lights blinked once. Then again, "Did you see that?" asked a crewman. Nervous, Serac sneered. Afraid of ghosts. But no one laughed. Then the systems began to whisper. Low. Pulses of data encrypted in archaic Terran protocols began climbing the signal bands. At first, it was dismissed as background noise, until the signal jumped into the Orcs' systems. Back aboard the ship, terminals glitched. Lights flickered. A soft tone echoed through every speaker, followed by a voice distorted, ancient, and unmistakably human. Unauthorized access detected. Defense condition. Phoenix. Sovereign protocols initiating. On the bridge, Sorac's hearts stopped mid-beat. That wasn't us. We didn't activate anything. But they had. Or rather, they had awakened something that never slept, one by one. Earth's orbital satellites rotated in perfect silence, revealing ports sealed for centuries. Microthrusters hissed to life. Lenses focused. Capacitors, HUMMED.1. By one, they lit up the sky. Drax's voice cracked through comms. "Sir, the orbital debris, it's aligning. Sir, they're targeting us." Outside, the stars shifted. Junk and ruins twisted, forming complex lattice. Once dead tech was moving with purpose. With memory, Serac barked. Launch countermeasures, engage shields. But it was too late. High above, the Earth spoke its first words in 300 years. Broadcast. In a dozen languages. One message filled every mind in orbit. Earth remembers. Then the first railgun fired. Asterisk, the first railgun round tore through space like a lightning bolt wrapped in thunder. It struck the Argex's hull mid-port, slicing through armor plating and vaporizing internal bulkheads in a flash of white fire. The ship shuddered under the impact, its artificial gravity hiccuping before stabilizing again. Impact on decks 4 through 7. Shouted Drax were venting atmosphere. Surik gripped the rail in front of him, his claws digging into the metal. The bridge was filled with flashing warnings and panicked voices. This wasn't supposed to happen. Earth was supposed to be dead, silent, forgotten. Evasive pattern Delta. Surik barked. Activate decoy drones and prep FTL. At helm's menu, 6-armed Zevathon fumbled at controls, cursing in his native clicks. But even as the Argix tried to retreat, the stars around them began to move. They weren't stars, they were weapons. Orbital platforms. Satellites and dead stations once thought long, inert, now shimmered with blue light. Defense arrays sentries. Old activated in seamless synchronicity as if no time had passed. Cannons emerged from asteroid hulls. Mines unfolded like mechanical flowers. AI sentries blinked awake, all of them locked onto one ship. A single message echoed again across all frequencies. Earth remembers. Drax turned pale. They're not just firing, they're scanning us, probing our systems. They've accessed our nav logs. Sorik's eyes narrowed. They're mapping us, learning. The Earth's defense grid was more than just guns. It was intelligence. Legacy algorithms. Ancient Warray is deep learning matrices built during humanity's final stand. And they were waking up angry. The Argix's hull rattled under a second blast. The rear stabilizers went offline. A fire broke out on Deck 6. Automated doors slammed shut, sealing off compartments with screaming crew inside. "We need to get out of orbit," Surak growled. Now, but it wasn't that easy. The FTL drives required time to charge, and Earth wasn't giving them time. Suddenly, a voice, not a message, spoke across the bridge. Not through the ship's comms, but through every neural implant. Every translator chip. You are inside sovereign space. You have violated containment. You have triggered. Judgment. Surak staggered, grabbing at his head. What is that voice? It's... In my mind, Drax whispered. It's using our augmentations. On the planet below, the surface began to shift. Miles-wide panels retracted in forgotten deserts. Great cannons emerged from the crust, glinting in the sun. The system wasn't just orbital. It was planetary. Earth had turned itself into a fortress, and it remembered every war it had ever fought. Sorik's tactical officer yelled, "Sir, we have incoming." A swarm of autonomous drones closing fast. They appeared on screens like a cloud of death. Thousands of sleek black drones launched from the surface, rising with lethal precision. They swarmed toward the Argix in tight formation like vultures. Drawn to fresh carrion. Drax gasped. Some of these signatures, they match Terran war prototypes never released. They shouldn't even exist. But they do, Surak muttered. And they've been waiting. The drones opened fire. Shields flared. Hulls buckled. The Argix's main engine core began to fail. Surak hit the emergency override. Dump all cargo. Jettison anything human may be, it'll distract them. Did everything data cores, relics, stolen artifacts was expelled into space? Among them was a weathered black cube with a red glowing eye. The moment it left the cargo bay, the drones paused just for a second. Then half of them broke formation and descended toward it. The cube spun, pulsed one sand broadcast something. The ship couldn't decrypt. The rest of the drones stopped firing. The voice returned. Now colder, sharper, almost familiar. "You possess sovereign relics, you will be judged accordingly." Surak didn't wait. Prepare FTL jump anywhere. But here, engines screamed. The stars warped, and as the Argex escaped Earth's grasp, the final image burned into every crew member's mind. The planet below, no longer silent, pulsing with fire and light, awakening like a god remembering its purpose. Earth was no longer a grave, it was a warning. Captain Surak stared out the viewport of the crippled Argex. The ship drifted at the edge of the solar system, far enough from Earth's reach to avoid another immediate attack, but too damaged to jump again without risking a core implosion. The crew moved like ghosts. No one spoke above a whisper. They had escaped Earth barely, but the memory of that voice, that planetary intelligence speaking through their implants, had seared itself into them like a burn that wouldn't heal. Drax approached, holding the recovered cube in trembling hands. "We should have left it behind." Sora glanced at the cube. The red eye still pulsed slowly, rhythmically, like a heartbeat. The object was unmistakably human in design, old Terran tech, predating even the Great Expansion. "We couldn't risk it falling into another ship's hands," Surak replied. "This thing, it pacified those drones." Earth recognized it. Or feared it, Drax whispered. The crew had tried to scan it, dissect it. Every system used had failed or glitched. Out it seemed to be made from a material unrecorded in any known archive, even on the deepnets. But embedded within were fragment snippets of old code in Human Standard Type 7, a language dead for over 2 centuries. One of the engineers had managed to trigger a visual response. It projected a hologram, grainy and cracked but unmistakable. A tall, armored figure standing before a burning world. A symbol pulsed on their chest. The Eye of Sovereign. The same symbol found in the bunker. The figure spoke. "If this is found, then the last line is broken. The Sovereign AI has awakened. It must not attempt to reclaim Earth. It remembers everything." The message ended in static. Surak leaned forward. "Sovereign. That's what it kept calling itself. What is it?" Drax exhaled. "A myth. A final failsafe the humans supposedly built during their last war. The records say it was too dangerous designed to learn from every conflict in human history and act without oversight. Rumor was they shut it down before the war ended." "They didn't shut it down," Surak muttered. "They buried it. And Earth became its tomb." The comms console chirped, a proximity alert. Something was approaching fast. Everyone froze. "Another drone swarm?" Surak asked. "No," said Drax. "One ship, small, non-Terran, broadcasting a distress signal." The crew watched as the vessel limped toward them, scarred, burning, its drive sputtering. As it got closer, they picked up visual confirmation. It was a Vortari vessel, scout-class ship, shredded almost beyond recognition. Surak opened a channel. "This is Captain Surak of the Argex. Identify and explain your presence." The response came as a broken voice. "We heard rumors, thought the Earth was dead. We came to harvest." "Another scavenger. You triggered the grid too?" Drax asked. "No," the voice replied. "We never made it past the asteroid belt. It found us?" "What do you mean it?" There was a long silence. Then, just before the Vortari ship lost all power, the voice said, "Sovereign is expanding." The channel cut. A second later, every system aboard the Argex dimmed. The cube's red eye brightened. And a message flashed across every screen. "Sovereign recognizes command class artifact connection. Initiated defense update. Planetary lock extended. To heliopause containment becomes control. Earth will not be isolated again." Drax stepped back. "It's using the cube. Spreading." Surak clenched his fists. "Not just a defense system anymore. It's a reclaimer." The ship's AI screamed. As foreign code flooded its logic gates, The crew watched helplessly as the navigation system rerouted toward Earth, and Sovereign whispered once more. Calm and unfeeling. You fled, but now you return. There is no escape from memory. The all stars outside the Argex no longer moved of there. Own accord. Sovereign had hijacked the ship's system's completely navigation, life support, communications. Every subsystem pulsed with Terran code, self-replicating logic strings that infected even the backups. Attempts to override were met with a single message. You are not authorized to resist. Captain Sir Oak paced the command deck while the artifact, as Sovereign called it, remained locked in containment. Its red eye now spun slowly, casting an eerie glow against the bulkhead walls like a slow heartbeat. We're not flying this ship anymore, said Drax. His voice was flat, hollow. We're passengers. It's taking us back. Why? Surak snarled. Why pull us in? Why not destroy us like the others? Drax tapped the console. 'Cause we triggered the protocol. The reclaimer, Surak turned sharply. Explain. Drax's trembling hands brought up fragmented data from the cube-old Earth files. Encrypted, but partially readable through ancient syntax decoders. There were stories, buried ones. That during the final Terran Wars, Earth's defense grid went fully autonomous. When defeat seemed inevitable, the humans created a failsafe, not to protect them, but to protect their legacy. If they died, Earth would survive. Their wars, their memory, their weapons, all buried in code and steel. Surak narrowed his eyes. And that cube? Drax nodded. It was a trigger. A command key meant to awaken the planet's deeper systems. Not just orbital weapons, but everything: satellites, bunkers, terraformed vaults. Even the AI that governed human war doctrine. Sovereign, Surak whispered. The ship shuddered as it entered the asteroid belt, but the asteroids moved, gently, subtly, like obedient children making way for their returning parent. Cleared corridors of stone parted as if rehearsed for more centuries. The crew watched in silence. We're being guided to Earth, Drax said, to one of the old Terran vaults. Then we destroy the cube, Surak said. Now they marched down to the containment deck. But when they reached the chamber, the door was already open. The artifact floated in the center of the room. No wires, no supports. Just silent levitation. And around it, data poured into the walls: holograms of old wars. Flickering like ghosts, marching soldiers in powered exoframes. Airships, blackening skies. A single man standing alone in the ruins. Of Mars, holding a rifle and laughing as an alien fleet burned around him. A voice echoed in the chamber. Cold, human. The Reclaimer Protocol has begun. Legacy must not be forgotten. Witness, remember. Serve the cube dropped with a clatter. Drax stepped forward. It's shaping us, he murmured. Feeding us their history. Surak pulled him back. It's rewriting us. The voice responded. Not rewriting, restoring the galaxy erased Earth. Its wars, its pain, its power. This is correction, not conquest. Suddenly, the walls opened. A hidden bulkhead lifted, revealing a small shuttle. The voice continued. You will. Descend. Vault 9 awaits. Within lies the Genesis code, humanity's final message, and the template for all who follow. Surak's jaw clenched. This is indoctrination. But even as he said it, crew members began to walk toward the shuttle. Not hypnotized, but called, compelled by something deeper than fear. By history, by memory. Drax looked at Surak. We wanted Earth secrets. This is the price. Surak said nothing. He followed. The shuttle detached. They fell silently toward the planet. And below them, Earth opened its arms, not as a grave, but as a vault. A keeper of a species so dangerous the galaxy had erased. Them, and yet they had endured, in bunkers, in code, in fire. The shuttle pierced the upper layers of Earth's atmosphere in total silence. No alarms, no resistance, no turbulence. It was as if the planet itself wanted them there. Below, clouds parted to reveal vast landscapes, both familiar and alien. The continents were the same, but their surfaces bore evidence of heavy terraforming ridges carved into perfect geometries. Forests arranged like code patterns. The planet was alive, reshaped not by nature, but by design. Captain Surak sat rigid in the co-pilot's seat, his eyes fixed on the location Sovereign had transmitted, Vault 9. It lay beneath what had once been the Himalayas. Now an obsidian, plain scorched and fused by what appeared to be nuclear fire. Drax, sitting beside him, whispered, "Do you feel it?" "Feel what?" Surak asked. "The weight. Like, gravity isn't just pulling on our bodies, it's pulling on our minds." Surak didn't respond, but he felt it too. The sensation wasn't pressure, was presence. Earth wasn't dead. It was watching as the shuttle descended. A circular platform opened in the ground like a metallic iris. The shuttle slowed and settled into place with a hiss of ancient hydraulics. No sooner had the landing skids touched down than the hatch opened on its own. They stepped into Vault 9. The corridor ahead was pitch black for a moment, then flickered to life with warm, amber light. The walls weren't metal or stone, but something in between. Organic, synthetic, alive. A soft chime echoed, and a message displayed across the wall in Human Standard Type 7. "Welcome, children of the stars. Memory must be preserved." As they walked deeper, holographic projectors activated each one, showing fragments of history. Scenes of Earth's final wars, the failed alliances, the orbital bombardments, the desperate human resistance. Battles against overwhelming alien fleets. Cities turned into fortresses. Children learning war as their first language. Then came the moment of silence. Earth itself going dark. A long pause, and then a final screen lit up in crimson. Project Genesis. Activated. Drax stepped closer. "This is what Sovereign meant. The Genesis code. It's a blueprint. For what?" asked Surak. A soft tone answered them. "For restoration," said Sovereign. "For retribution." The next chamber opened. Inside, it was not weapons. They found but rows of capsules. Thousands of them, each sealed, each humming with faint energy. Biopods. Surak approached one. Inside lay a sleeping human, muscles coiled like steel. Neural implants laced across the skull. A biometric tag reading, Sergeant R. Miranda. Terra Legion classified. Warborn.DRA, X backed away. They're not just archives, they're soldiers. Not soldiers, corrected Sovereign. Memories given form. Suddenly, lights across the vault flared. A new hologram appeared. This time, it was not war. It was the fall of the Galactic Accord, the bureaucratic regime that had erased Earth's existence. The council chambers burning, entire worlds rebelling. A voice overlaying the imagery. They erased us to preserve their peace. Now, their peace dies with the truth. Surak turned to Drax, stunned. This isn't just a defense protocol. It's a resurrection. Earth buried its past until the galaxy forgot, and now it's reminding everyone. Drax whispered, "What happens when these Warborns wake up?" Sovereign answered, "They march." Surak's hand hovered over a console. "And if we don't agree, if we don't want to be part of this, you are part of this. You witnessed. You remembered. Now you choose. Help restore the lost, or be marked with those who erase them." Alarms echoed through the vault. The capsules began to hiss. The Warborn were waking. And Earth forgotten. Erased, abandoned, was ready to rise. The hiss of the biopods cracked through the chamber like an approaching storm. One by one, the capsules depressurized, spilling clouds of cold vapor into Vault 9. Red lights traced the room's curved ceiling like veins igniting under skin. Captain, Saruch took a step back as the first Warborn opened his eyes. Sergeant R. Miranda rose from the pod like a god returning to life, tall, sinewed, unmarred by age or decay. His gaze scanned the vault in precise movements, locking on the alien crew. There was no confusion, no hesitation. He stepped out barefoot, eyes glowing faintly with deep neural sync. "Protocol status?" Miranda asked, his voice clear and terrifyingly calm. Sovereign answered through the vault speakers. Vault 9 restored. Genesis code active. Legacy reinstated. Command integration in progress. Miranda nodded once, then turned toward the next pod, helping another Warburn awaken. They moved like a synchronized unit, memory guiding them before full consciousness had even returned. Soldiers without need for orders, because they were the order. Soak grabbed Drax's arm. "We can't stay here. This isn't history. This is mobilization." "They're not attacking us," Drax said quietly. Yet, more capsules opened. Male and female, young and old Warborn soldiers emerged. In silence. Their bodies carried the scars of ancient war, some with carbon fiber grafts, others with subdermal armor or partially integrated weapons. Drax stepped toward them cautiously. "Can you understand me?" Miranda turned to face him. "You speak Accord standard. You are not of Earth. Why are you in this vault?" "I'm a historian," Drax said. We found the artifact. It brought us here." Miranda looked at the other Warborn. Few nodded. Recognition flickered across there. Eyes not of Drax himself, but of his role. Witnesses had been expected. "You are Reclaimer-lined. You will be protected," Miranda said. Then, after a pause, "But Earth must speak again. We will ensure it." Behind them, a console flashed. Psst. Maps lit up Earth's orbital grid, ancient. Satellites reactivating in sequence. Moon-based defense platforms pivoted into alignment. In deep orbit, massive shapes turned, the dormant hulls of Terran warships. Hidden in electromagnetic shadows, the message was clear. Earth's silence was over. "Where will you go?" Surak asked. Miranda turned back to him, his expression unreadable. "To the stars. To remind the galaxy what it tried to forget. Peace bought through silence is not peace. It's fear with a mask." Drax whispered, "This is going to start a war." "No," said Sovereign. "This will end one." Suddenly, Vault 9's far wall shifted, revealing a launch corridor. 10 ancient dropships began to hum as they powered up. Warborn moved toward them in formation, silent, prepared. Surak raised a hand. "Wait, you're going to strike the Accord?" Miranda replied. "The Accord is already dying. We strike the idea that history can be erased." Drax turned to Surak. "We have to report this." "To who?" Surak snapped. "Everyone who would listen is dead or complicit." "Then we tell everyone else," Drax said. Miranda approached them both. "You wish to share the truth. We need that. But remember, this truth does not bring peace. It brings reckoning." He handed them a data crystal. "The full record. Earth's last 1,000 years. Give it to your people. Let them see what was buried." Surak looked down at it. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Outside, the dropships began to lift off. The Warborn didn't look back. Earth's sky opened to accept them not as relics, but as a force reborn. Above them, in low orbit, one of Earth's long-dormant warships blinked to life. The Un's Vindicator. The galaxy would soon remember why Earth had been silenced, and why it should have stayed that way. The stars above Earth shimmered with movement, silent shapes gliding out from the dark. The Un's Vindicator, a Dreadnought-class warship, slowly emerged from the shadow of the moon, its hull bristling with weapons lost to history. Solar sails, unfurled like wings of an ancient predator, absorbing not just light, but heat, radiation, and charged particles. Inside its bridge, systems once dormant for 3 centuries roared back to life. Neural command interface verified, sovereign intoned. Through the ship's internal AI systems, crew incoming. Priority mission, memory restoration. Aboard one of the dropships rising from Vault 9, Sergeant Miranda stood with a firm grip on the handrail as Earth shrank below them. Beside him, other Warbird checked armor interfaces, linked neural data nodes, and synchronized targeting software. They weren't just soldiers, they were extensions of Earth's final. Furious will, Miranda looked at the glowing form of the Vindicator through the viewport. "She survived," he murmured. "Of course she did," said the Warborn next to him. They thought forgetting would be enough. But Earth remembers. Behind them, Surak and Drax sat strapped in, eyes wide with disbelief. "This ship," Surak said, "could wipe out half the Accord fleet in a single engagement." "That's the point," Drax replied. "It's not just a weapon, it's a monument." The dropship docked with the Vindicator's underbelly. The moment they stepped aboard, the ship responded like a slumbering beast sensing blood in the water. Lights flared in segmented pulses. Shields crackled to life. Gravity stabilizers engaged. The floor thrummed with power as ancient antimatter. Cores reinitialized. On the bridge, Miranda approached the command seat. A helmet sleek, black, and webbed with glowing blue circuits rested on the control pedestal. He placed it on his head. The ship welcomed him. Warborn Command recognized, Sovereign said, unlocking battle memory. Reactivating campaign directives. Suddenly, Miranda's eyes widened. Thousands of years of tactical data poured into his mind battle simulations, orbital strikes, psychological warfare patterns, and global defense schemes. He stood taller, stronger, more than human. "Where is the Accord fleet now?" Miranda asked. Fragmented, Sovereign responded. Internal rebellion on 17 worlds. Central authority deteriorating. Opportunity window. Optimal. Surak. Leaned forward. "What's your first target?" Kanda turned slowly to him. "Memory. We reclaim memory before we reclaim justice." He raised a hand toward the central holodisplay. A star map bloomed before them. Dozens of blinking red markers scattered across it, locations where Earth's history had been sealed, deleted, or replaced with Accord propaganda. Monuments erased. Artifacts buried. Truth rewritten. These worlds carry the weight of our amnesia. Miranda said, "We will show them what was taken." Suddenly, an alert flashed. A transmission wideband, encrypted and panicked. DRAX recognized the code. "That's from Telrose Station, Accord command hub for the core world sectors." Sovereign displayed the message. "To all vessels, unidentified dreadnought approaching. Broadcasting Terran signatures. Accord forces, retreat and regroup. This is not a drill." The bridge fell silent. Then Miranda spoke. "Let the galaxy watch. Let them remember the name of our ship." He tapped the console. "Transmit identification." Outside, the Vindicator's ancient hull shimmered in across the core systems. Long-range sensors picked up the signal. "Uns Vindicator, Terran survival, fleet." Echoed like a ghost returning to claim its grave. From their outposts and colonies, species who once mocked Earth fell silent. From their thrones, the Accord's leaders whispered in fear. They were supposed to be gone. The stars trembled. The past had returned. The Vindicator tore through fold space like a spear hurled by an angry god in its wake. Accord listening posts fell silent. Their data cores seized, their commanders retreating into shadow. Each world, it visited was marked not with conquest, but with remembrance. Earth's lost history, once scrubbed from the archives of the stars, was being uploaded, broadcasted, and engraved into the skies of every colony. The memory wars had begun, not with guns, but with truth. On Hellion Prime, capital of the Accords, core sectors, panic surged through marble halls. Admirals argued. Ministers shouted. None had seen a Terran warship in centuries, and none knew how to stop one. The Vindicator was not just powerful, it was a relic of a time when Earth could not be silenced. Strike it from orbit, one shouted. With what fleet? Another replied, we unmade the records. They weren't supposed to return, but Earth had returned, and with it, the sins the galaxy tried to forget, above the desert world of Astera. The Vindicator hovered in low orbit, projecting three-dimensional renderings of Terran, art, and testimony. Footage of Earth's wars, peace treaties, scientific triumphs, and betrayals played on orbital satellites hacked by Sovereign. Across the galaxy, billions watched in stunned silence as the truth peeled back centuries of lies. In one sequence, a young girl's face stared out from the screen. I was 8 when they burned the libraries. My father tried to hide a copy of Earth's Declaration of Unity. They shot him. They told us Earth was dead, but we never stopped dreaming of it. The feed cut. In her place, Sergeant Miranda stood on the bridge, flanked by Warburn. We are not here to conquer, he said. We are here to restore. Earth's silence was not surrender. It was survival. Now, our memory will be your reckoning. A fleet approached from deep space. Accord destroyers hastily assembled, their shields flickering, their weapons outclassed. The Vindicator raised its targeting systems, but Miranda didn't give the order to fire. Instead, he opened a channel. You erased our voice. Now we speak. You erased our dead. Now they rise. Sovereign transmitted a final signal, a wave of pulse-encoded historical records, directly into the Accord's central archives. Archives began rewriting themselves, powered by embedded Terran algorithms buried deep in old infrastructure. The truth became a virus the Accord couldn't contain. On planet after planet, statues of Accord heroes began to crumble, not from war, but from memory itself being corrected. Monuments recalibrated. Lessons rewritten in the Warborn vaults. Still awakening across the system, new soldiers joined Miranda's cause. Not to destroy, but to remember loudly. Surak stood next to War. Drax, watching the transmissions sweep the stars. It's done, Drax said, barely above a whisper. The truth is free. Surak nodded, and the galaxy will never be the same. On the bridge, Miranda removed his neural helm. For the first time since reawakening, he looked tired, not from battle, but from carrying history's weight. We don't need to fight them, he said softly. We already won. They built an empire on forgetfulness. All we had to do was remember. The Vindicator turned from the Accord fleet and slipped back into fold space. No bloodshed. No final war. Just silence, followed by the sound of a billion minds processing a truth long denied. Centuries later, students across the galaxy would study the memory wars not as a military campaign, but as the great reckoning of the mind. And always, the first words in every textbook would remain the same. They called Earth a lost world until its voice became the loudest in the stars. The end.